Hey folks, what is going on? This is Chris at Verlo Trading. We're going to come to you here with a new video that's going to be part of our TWS tutorial series. And in this video, we're going to talk about scaling out of trades, how to scale out of a trade in TWS. I'm also going to use another software called Sierra Chart to demonstrate to you what I believe is well implemented scaling out of trades, and then I'm going to show you how to do it in TWS as the video progresses here. So in this video, I'm going to show you a total of 4 different methods of how to scale out of a trade in TWS, and I'm also going to show you a new feature that has been added to the TWS software. So stick around for that. It's going to be a bonus towards the end of the video. So guys, as always, if you find this content helpful or educational, remember to leave a like and help us out by clicking on the first link in the description. That is a way of supporting the channel. And of course, if you have any issues or any questions related to something in this video, remember to leave a comment down below so that we can chat about that and hopefully get that problem fixed if possible. Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about scaling out. So I first want to give you a brief demonstration or a description of what is scaling out so you understand what I'm talking about. So scaling out of a trade is when there is an existing position quantity to start with, meaning that you have either bought something or you have shorted something, meaning you sold something without owning it. There is an existing position quantity in your account. There has to be an existing position quantity. The next thing is the trader wants to reduce their position quantity by an amount smaller than the position quantity that they have in their account. So here's the first example. Let's say the trader buys 100 shares of a stock and now they sell 50 shares. That's an example of scaling out half of their trade. Okay. Now, in TWS, it's actually very easy to do this because they've implemented buttons like if you're in a trade and you right click on any symbol and you select trade, you're going to see items here that say close 25%, close 50%, close even 100%, or a custom percentage of your position. And I actually covered that in another video I did on TWS, which is called how to close quarter of your position or something like that. The issue with this method is, I'm going to explain to you now, the biggest issue with this that a lot of traders run into. So I often get questions via email and via YouTube comments, and they say, well, how do I scale out of my trade and have my stop loss automatically adjust to the remainder of my position quantity? And unfortunately, there's actually only really one way to do this in TWS, and it's not a very user-friendly way, and it's not a very flexible way either. You can't be very discretionary with it, and that's why, unfortunately, that's the only way you can do it in native TWS, right? We're not assuming the use of a third-party software or a program that you write to do that, okay? So I'm going to show you now what I believe is called discretionary scaling out and how it's done using a different software like Sierra Chart, for example. It's well implemented in Sierra Chart. So what I've done in this case is I have an instance of Sierra Chart here open, and it's connected to my Interactive Brokers TWS instance right here. So when I submit orders here, you'll see them get populated in TWS. Like that, okay? So that's kind of what I'm going to use here to show you the first example of what I believe is an effective implementation of a scale in and scale out functionality into a software, okay? These features are integrated, so you have to open the trade window for your chart, and then you have to turn on these functions by going to the menu, orders, then support scale in and scale out. But again, remember this video, we're only talking about scaling out. In TWS, guys, there's another tool called the Scale Trader. That tool is used more for scaling in. In my opinion, that tool is designed for scaling in to trades, not scaling out. Scaling out is not the same as scaling in. That's why there's 2 different functions for it here in Sierra Chart. Let's say I want to buy something. Okay, so right now on my chart, the trade quantity here is set to 2 contracts. So if I click here on any price, I'll click on 87.50. I submitted a buy order of 2 contracts. Okay, now I've been filled on my buy order. I am now long 2 contracts. Okay, now for the sake of this example, I'm going to move my stop loss lower so that it doesn't get triggered, just so I can show you how the scaling out works. So now let's say, for example, I'm looking at my trade and I'm saying either it's going in my favor and I want to get some off, or it's going against me and I want to cut some off. Well, the first thing is, in this case, I had it set to 2. I'll just change it back to 1 just to make this more convenient here. So I'll set my trading quantity back to 1. And now what I will do is I will submit a separate sell order, which is in this case, a counter position order, because I'm in a long position. If I submit a sell order, that's a counter position order. So because I have the scale out feature turned on, it's going to submit an order like this that is unattached. It does not have any brackets attached to it, okay? So even if I have bracket orders configured as my default, it's going to bypass that when I have the scale out feature turned on. So now what we've seen here is the order has been filled. Okay, so that order at 86.75 has now been filled. And now if you take a look at, first of all, my position quantity is now 1. The stop loss has now been adjusted down to 1 contract. And if you look over here in TWS, the orders that were set to a quantity of 2 originally, stop loss of 2 and a target of 2, have now been reduced down to 1. And that is all being done because that functionality is in Sierra Chart, and we're using Sierra Chart to send the orders to TWS, okay? So now let's do it again. I'll show you another example. I'm gonna submit a buy order here to scale in another contract. And right now I've submitted a buy order at 37.88, and we'll see if this gets filled. If not, I'm gonna move it a little bit higher actually. So why don't we try to buy at 88.50 now? So we'll move that order up. Hopefully it gets filled, 88.50. And what will happen is if this order gets filled, our position quantity will now be 2, okay, because we're already long 1 contract. We're not getting that fill. I'm gonna move it up by 2 ticks. So I now got filled at 89. I chased it a little bit, okay, just to show you guys the example. Now I'm in a position of 2 contracts here. Okay, so now you can see I have a limit order of 2. And if that fills, then both orders will be canceled, of course, because that's just how it works. Now, since my trade window quantity is set to 1, if I click on the sell side here, and I submit a sell order, you're gonna see I have a sell order of 1 contract right there. It has now been filled. Now look at my limit order here has now been reduced to a quantity of 1, as well as my stop order has also been reduced to a quantity of 1. And you can see the same thing there on the right in TWS. Okay, so that's what we call scaling out of a trade, where your stop loss quantity gets automatically adjusted to the remainder of your position, okay? So in Sierra Chart, it's very well implemented. Now I'm gonna show you guys how to do this in TWS. Okay, we're gonna show the first method of how to scale out of a trade in TWS using only TWS. There is no program required for this. There's nothing required, only TWS. So for this example, we're going to use a stock option, but this will apply no matter what market you trade. You just have to keep in mind the prices for the market you're trading. So for example, for this stock option that we are looking at, the minimum price increment is 1 cent. It moves around in pennies. Whereas if you're trading something like potentially a Forex or a stock, you might want to use different increments for the settings I'm about to show you here. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose the market that I'm going to trade. So I'm going to go into my options chain. And by the way, this layout that you're seeing on my screen, this layout has been provided to you guys for free if you go and watch my other video, which is 5 TWS layouts you can download and use on your software, okay? So I'm going to go into the options chain here, and I'm set to look at the market SPY, that's the ticker symbol. The options chain here, I'm going to go to the options expiring in 4 days, and I'm going to find the at the money call option, and I'm just going to use this option as an example. So I'll click over here on the bid column, and I will click and drag into my quote board. Now this option has been populated into my quote board, so I can see the chart for that as well as the order book right here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is go up to File, Global Configuration, and we're going to access the order presets for the particular market we're going to trade. So scroll down, find presets, and then select options right here, because we're going to be trading stock options. So this is where we configure our defaults and any defaults regarding attached orders or scale out target orders. So the first thing is we set a default order quantity that's going to be more than 1 contract, because in order to demonstrate scaling out, you can't just have 1 contract. So I set it to 3. So when I prompt a brand new buy or sell order, it's going to be for 3 contracts. Okay, let's go down now, and this is where we configure our primary order. I'm just going to do a very basic example. So the order type will be a limit buy order. It will be prompted at the price of the bid. At the time that I prompt it, it will show up at the price of the current bid. And then these other fields here do not need to be populated because they're not relevant to the order type we configured. And that's it. So now we go down to our target order profit taker, and this is where we configure everything regarding our attached target orders, including scale out target orders. So the first thing is I will select the order type, set it to a limit order in this case. That is just fine. And the limit price will be relevant to our parent order. We're going to specify an offset in ticks. Basically what ticks are, it's the minimum price increment that your market moves in. So for this stock option, a tick is 1 penny. So I'll set it to ticks, and then I will set this to 25 ticks. So what will happen here is when I prompt that buy order, we should have a target get populated 25 cents away from our parent order price, okay? Now, here come the scale fields. This is where you guys are gonna maybe get a bit confused, so I'll try to simplify it as much as possible. The initial component size, What this is the size, the order quantity of your initial profit-taking order. In this case, I'm going to set it to 1. So the first target order of 25 cents away from my parent order is going to be an order quantity of 1. Okay. Now the next two boxes here are going to determine what the next orders are doing in our scale out orders. So the subsequent component size, this is the order quantity of all of the other orders in your scale out sequence. I'm going to set it to 1. So our initial scale out order will be 1 contract, and the next orders after that will also be 1 contract each. So what this means is that we will actually have a total of 3 target orders. 1 is the initial, and then we will have 2 more subsequent profit taker orders of 1 contract each. Now, the next box here, this is what specifies the distance between those target orders. In this case, I'm going to specify that the distance between those target orders is going to be, let's say, 7 cents. So I'll type 0.07. And we're going to show how that works in a minute here. And just for the sake of this example, I'm actually going to also attach a stop order to our parent order, just, for example's sake. So I'll auto attach stop type. I will select a stop. The stop price will be the parent order minus, let's say, 50 ticks, or let's say 35 ticks in this case. Also, do not forget the minus here, and that will apply no matter if it's a parent buy or parent sell order. Okay, so that's all we need to do. Now we will apply this and select OK to exit that menu. Now what I'm going to do is go over to my market here, which is this call option, and I will right click on it and then select buy. Now, what we see here is our orders get populated in our quote board as well as on our chart right here. So we see our parent buy limit order gets populated at $2.77, and our initial order for profit taking, you can see we don't actually have an order on the chart. We have this line here that tells us that's the starting price for our scale out order. And if we go down over here, you can also do this in the orders window. If I go to a new window and then select order management and orders, you can also see these orders from here. In the case that you don't have a quote board, you can get this window as well. And you can right click on the profit taker and click on view scale progress. That's what I'm about to show right here. So I'll close this for now because I want to show it to you using the quote board. So I'm going to click on our limit profit taker order, which is a starting price of $3.02. And I'm going to right click on it and then select view scale progress. Now, this is the window where we will be able to see the individual prices for our scale out orders. And right now you're not seeing them. And the reason you're not seeing them is because our parent order has not even been submitted to the market yet. So what we're going to do is actually get into a position in the market. So I'm actually going to modify our parent order a little bit lower here, and I'm going to aim to get a fill. So I'm going to transmit this. We have an order confirmation window, and I will transmit that. Now we're in a position of long 3 contracts on this options contract. Okay. Now, if we look at the scale progress window, we can now see that we have 3 separate target orders in this marketplace. And you can also see it on the chart. We have our starting price, which is approximately around 302. And then this red line at the top here is specifying the top price for our scale out sequence of orders. Okay. Now, I'm going to kind of describe to you guys a few issues with this. So right now, we can see that our initial target is live at a price of $3.02. Now, it is possible to modify this order. For example, if I go down here and just simply modify it to a different price, in this case, I'll modify it to $2.64, and I want to just get a fill. And actually, since the market has moved up here, I'll move it a little higher. So I'll update that. And now we should receive a fill on this option. There we go. So now we've actually received the fill on that first option contract. So now our position quantity is 2. Our stop order has also adjusted to be 2, and our profit taking orders have now adjusted also to be 2. So that right there, you can see that everything is adjusted properly. Now, here's where the main issue is. So you can see that we still have 2 more orders that are there in our profit taker sequence, and we can see at what price they're working at as well. So right here we can see that our next target is live at $2.80. But if we go ahead and look in our quote board, the price for our limit target, it says that it's still at $2.73. This is where it can be problematic. So let's say, for example, you wanted to adjust the price of that second target order, or any one of your target orders for that matter. You actually need to go in and adjust it here. That's the only way you can adjust it. You don't have access to adjusting the individual targets one by one, and I think that's a big downside to this. So of course it removes the discretionary aspect from that, and yeah. So if I do go ahead and change this price, if I reduce the price of our limit target order by a couple of cents, take a look at how those prices also change. Okay, now that is not live because I have not transmitted the update yet. You can see here active on Emerald is still at 280. I need to update it or transmit it to transmit that modification. There we go. So now our next profit taker order has actually been moved down by 3 cents to a price of $2.77. Okay, so this can be a little bit, annoying, right? So you can see where the option is currently trading and everything. Let's say I wanted to actually move this lower. Well, I can do that. I just have to move down this price, which is 270, but actually my order is active at 277. So you can see how this is kind of confusing and very annoying. So I'm actually going to move that down, and hopefully we can get it to be closer. Now our second order is at 274, and the best offer in the market's at 273. So hopefully this could result in a fill pretty close here. All right, so you guys can get an idea of how the scale out order works in TWS. So this is like the basic demonstration of that. So now our second order has been filled, the market has moved up, and we actually have our third target has also been filled. So guys, that is the only method that you can actually perform the scaling out where your stop adjusts automatically to your position size. That's the only way to do it in native TWS. Hopefully they implement this so that it works kind of like I showed you guys earlier in the video in Sierra Chart. Now, it is possible to do this if you can program using Python. I can give you an example of a very simple program that you would write that interacts with the TWS API. You would need two things. You would need first to get the order ID of your attached stop order. So I'll give you an example to start. What I'm going to do is go back to the order presets and go to options. And I'm actually going to disable the limit target order. I'm going to disable it now, but I'm not going to modify the scale fields because I want to show you a couple more examples here. I'm going to leave the stop order there because I want to explain to you how you would implement this programmatically. So the first thing is I will prompt a parent order, and I will also submit this order at a lower price, and I'll transmit that. Now, let us say we're filled on our parent order. We have an attached stop order. This is how you would implement it programmatically. The first thing you would do is you would need to get the order ID for your attached stop order. That would need to be saved in persistent memory or as some kind of an integer that your program can call upon that order. The next thing is you need to get your position quantity for the contract you're trading. And then you need to create a simple if statement that checks, and it says, if the order quantity of your stop order is not equivalent to your position size, then modify the order quantity of the stop order to be equivalent to the position size. But that's how I would vocalize it. So hopefully maybe someone out there can do it, right? Okay. So the next thing I'll show is, so in this case, we do have an attached stop to this order. Let's say, for example, I cancel the attached stop. I canceled the attached stop order in this case. So we only have a parent buy order. Now I want to show you a few different methods you can use of attaching brackets to your order in the case that you didn't configure automatic brackets from the start. Well, you go ahead and you right click on your order. In this case, my order is actually live, but it doesn't have to be. So you right click on that order, and then you can select attach. And this is a menu where you have different options for attaching various orders. So if I click on attach bracket orders, what it will do is go ahead and attach a sell limit and a sell stop. And one thing to note is that the offsets that you see here were actually taken from what they were set to in the order presets window that I previously showed you, right? So it went to get those offset amounts for these bracket orders. Now I'll go ahead and cancel these to show you a couple more examples, and those have not been transmitted. So I'll right click again on the parent order, go ahead to attach. Now I'll select target order limit. Now watch what happens. It actually submitted a scale out target order. So when I selected to attach only a target order to our parent order, it actually used the scale out field that we had configured. So now in this case, we actually have attached a scale out target order. So that's one way of attaching a scale out target order to a parent order. And if you right click on this new target order, you can see we can view the scale progress for that. Since the order is not yet active, it hasn't been transmitted, we're not seeing any active orders there. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this for now. Okay, the next method I will show, which I think is an important thing to show is actually just how to modify your order quantities manually. Potentially you guys are just still learning the software. You should know how to manually adjust order quantities and do it pretty quickly. So I'll just show you how to do that. So we're gonna go again and enter into a position here, and I'm not gonna have any attached orders. So I'll just go ahead and try to get a fill. Okay, so now I am long 3 contracts again in this same market here. Now what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to right click on the symbol that I have a position in, and I'm going to go to trade, and very briefly I'm going to demonstrate a new feature that has been implemented, which is adding a bracket order to an existing position. So we go over here and select create target stop exit bracket, and this feature might still be beta at the time I am recording this. So right now I'm actually going to deactivate the profit taker because I only want to attach a stop loss. Okay. So in this case, the market is currently at $3 and something. The stop will appear at 275. That's what it had been previously configured to. So that's fine. You can see here at the top, we can see our position quantity and our average price and any unrealized or daily P&L for this symbol. And of course, the quote for the symbol at the top here. I'll go ahead and preview that order and then submit it, transmit this. So now we have an attached stop loss to our position. Okay, that's what we've just implemented right there. Okay, so now I'm going to show scaling out of a portion of this trade and then manually adjusting the stop loss quantity. So, this is kind of like the old school way of doing it. Maybe it's not as efficient as the previous method or different methods you can use, but I think it's still important to know how to do this. So go to global configuration again to the order presets menu for options. And I'll just make sure there are no attached orders. So I'm going to remove the auto attach stop order right there. I'll apply that and OK to exit. Then what I'll do is I'll right click on the symbol that we have our position in. I'll click sell. We have a brand new sell limit order here. I'll reduce the order quantity of that order to 1 because we want to, again, sell 1 contract. Then I will change the order price of this order to somewhere around where the market is currently trading. Then I will transmit the order by pressing Shift T, but you could have easily pressed the T right there. Transmit it. Okay, now our position quantity has been reduced to 1 here. Now our stop loss, again, has not been automatically adjusted because we are using the manual method. So I will click on the order quantity and then bring it down to 1. Now I will click on update to update the quantity of this order. Okay, so that is the manual method of adjusting your stop loss. Now again, that might not be ideal if you're trying to leave the desk and have everything work for you. If you're trying to work with a trailing stop that automatically adjusts, of course, that will not be what you want to do. But at the end of the day, it's important to still know how to do it manually. Okay, so now I'll drag this order up, and maybe we'll just get stopped out of that. Okay. The last thing we'll do is show another time how to attach a bracket to an existing trade. So in this case, we're still long 1 contract. What I'm going to do is right click on the symbol, then go over to click on trade, and then click on create target and stop exit bracket order. In this case, what it tells us is that our account has outstanding open orders in the product. So it won't actually let us submit an exit strategy if we already have an attached order to our position in this case. So I'm actually going to cancel that attached order, and then I'll go ahead and see if that has changed. Okay, so now the menu actually allows us to prompt a bracket order again, okay? One thing to note is that on the right side of this, normally you will see some sort of a chart, but in this case it says that charting options is not available for daily bars because this defaults to daily chart bars for whatever reason. Again, this feature still might be a beta at the time I'm recording this. Okay, so we have a profit taker and a stop loss. Both boxes are checked here, so this will be a one cancels the other type of order. And here we can select the prices for these orders. Just as a reference, I can look at the quote of the current market to determine where I want to be placing these. And of course, normally you already know where you want to be placing them. And then as a quick bonus here, I do need to inform you guys about this right here, is that if you are going to be submitting an exit strategy to a position that you have, and you're going to be doing it in after hours, and you want to ensure that the orders trigger in after hours, you need to click on these fields right here for the time in force, and then you need to make sure to check the box for fill or trigger outside of RTH. Right now I can't click these boxes because we are inside of the regular trading hours. But in the case that you are in after hours trading, you're going to have the option to check these boxes, and you have to check the boxes if you want your stops to be properly triggered in after hours trading. Okay, so once you're all ready with that, you go ahead and preview the order and then submit it once you're ready. So I'll transmit it right here, and I'll go ahead now and close this window, and we can see now on our chart we have a bracket that has been attached to our position. okay? And we can also modify these orders by clicking and dragging. All right. And there's also hotkeys that you can use to move existing orders up and down. I guess it defaults to the last order you clicked on. Yes, okay. So that's pretty much it, guys. And I'll just demonstrate the filling of one of these orders here. So I'll drag down the profit taker. There we go. So we've exited the position. The stop loss has been canceled, and that is it. So hopefully this video was able to help you guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.